Hey guys, Shalana here. Welcome to the Binge Zone. On today's video, we're talking about The Mandalorian Chapter 5, Gunslinger. And let's just jump into it because there's a lot of Star Wars goodness and Easter eggs in this episode. Let's just dive into the episode. The episode starts off with a space dogfight. And if you're a big sci-fi space fantasy fan like I am, nothing's more exciting than a space dogfight. And we see the Mandalorian finally using his ship in an actual dogfight. And I like this scene because I love the maneuver that the Mandalorian used, because even though it's the typical maneuver where you just get behind your opponent and you just blast him out of the sky, I enjoyed it. It shows that the Mandalorian is not just a decent physical fighter, but he's also a pretty good pilot. So I enjoyed this episode. But now the Mandalorian ship is damaged and he needs repairs. And then we see the horizon and I pause and I'm like, hold on. Is that the planet I think it is? And it is. It's Tatooine because he requests landing in the Mos Eisley landing tower. And I thought to myself, Mos Eisley, Tatooine. You know what this means? This planet is synonymous with Star Wars. Every major event of Star Wars, really in every trilogy besides the new one, but every good Star Wars trilogy has Tatooine. This is the planet Luke Skywalker was raised in. This is the planet we met Han Solo. This is the planet where Darth Maul died from Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Obi-Wan spent most of his life raising and watching Luke Skywalker. This is the planet Anakin Skywalker is from. This is the planet where Anakin slaughters his first batch of innocent people. Like, this holds so much mythology or history in Star Wars. And I thought, yo, we're going to Tatooine. So the Mando lands in Tatooine and we see a landing pit, which is similar to the one where the Millennium Falcon was in the original Star Wars trilogy, right? So he lands and he needs repairs, but he doesn't have any money. So he leaves Baby Yoda on the ship and he tells the woman, and we see the pit droids, but you know, Mando doesn't fuck with droids, so we don't fuck with droids. So we sell the pit droids, and then Mando doesn't have any money. So he's gonna go look for a job and he's gonna pay for his ship's repairs. And then when you're on Tatooine and you need bounty hunting work, right? Where do you go? The hub of scum and villainy, Mos Eisley's Cantina. And when he walked in there, I was like, holy shit. Well, the live band's not here anymore, but it makes sense because this is years after Empire, and it had, like, they gotta move on, right? But then when there's no guild work, there's no bounty work, there's somebody sitting in Han's spot in the cantina, another bounty hunter, Toro, what was his last name? Toro Carican. And he offers Mando a job. And I'm sitting here like, look at this young Han Solo-esque bounty hunter, right? We know Han Solo was a smuggler, but just his demeanor, and he's young. So when he explains the job to Mandalorian and he has to find this woman named Finnick, who's a world-class assassin and hitman for all, like a super world-class, I said world-class, like this is one planet, a galaxy-class, like high-level assassin hitman. Mando's like, nah, man, deuces, this is too much above our pay grade, right? So then Toro offers Mandalorian the full bounty and says he's trying to get into the Bounty Hunters Guild and he just needs to catch her. He doesn't care about the money. He just wants to get in the guild, and he'll give Mando all the money. And you know, Mandalorian is nothing else but a capitalist, and he's a bounty hunter. So he's like, you know what? I'll help you out, especially since this guy is new and his lack of experience would get him killed against Finnick. So Mando tells him, get 2 swoop bikes. They're going to go out and find Finnick. And then he gets the swoop bikes and we're cruising through Tatooine, right? Seeing the desert planet. Granted, I'm getting kind of sick of all these desert planets and Star Wars. However, this is Tatooine, so I let it pass. We're seeing the dunes and everything. And then we stop and see Tusken Raiders. And while they had a decent interaction with them, I still don't fuck with Tusken Raiders. After what they did to Anakin's mother, after what they did, I still don't fuck with Tusken Raiders because we've never, even though they were civil, we've never seen them behave in live action. So like, I just don't, right? So after Mando guarantees them safe passage, they find Finnick, she ambushes them, and then Mando comes with this great plan to ambush her at night, right? And she has this sniper rifle, and she looks pretty badass because she looks like a Imperial Inquisitor, right? With the helmet that she has on, and she's blasting them away. And then Mando comes with his plan. They attack her, they bum rush her. She hits Mando's swoop bike. I have to say something very important about this episode. Beskar armor is pretty badass because she's hit Mando a few times with a sniper, and Mando was just fine because Beskar armor is the best armor, right? So when they capture her, Mando decides to go and get a do-back to ride back to collect the bounty. It's then Finnick starts talking to Toro and tells Toro about who the Mando is and how much more fame he would get for catching Mandalorian as opposed to her. So then he kills Fennec, tries to kill Mando. Mando outsmart. And this is the cool part. When Mando comes back, Fennec is gone. He goes back to Mos Eisley, right? And he goes to his ship, and that's when you see Toro with Baby Yoda and the mechanic chick, and he's like, "Turn yourself in, or I'm gonna start blasting." And Mando's like, "All right, man, you got it." And then Mando shows like he shows his experience because Mandalorian is a seasoned bounty hunter, a badass, a galactic badass. And Toro's just a new kid on the block. So Mando dispatches him like this. Like, it's kind of embarrassing if you think about it. Like, you did all this. You killed her. The world-class, galaxy-class assassin who could have helped you. You shot her and thought you could take on the Mando. Come on. Bruh. Bruh? Really? But then Mando then kills him, takes his credits, pays for his ship, and flies off. This episode was written by Dave Filoni from Clone Wars, and this is the first episode that wasn't written by Jon Favreau, and it shows because this episode doesn't really progress the plot any at all. If you think about it, this episode, nothing happened to advance the story. We barely saw any Baby Yoda. Mando dealing with Toro and Fennec doesn't advance his plot at all. This was more like a filler episode, and it makes sense because Filoni, while he's a Star Wars guru, comes from the animated world. I know he directed the first episode of Mandalorian, but this felt like a cartoon episode where nothing really happens and the overall narrative doesn't change at all. And that's different between his writing and Jon Favreau's writing, and because every episode Jon Favreau wrote, which is the first 4, something major happened. We learn more about the Mandalorian, or the plot, or the story advances in some way. And in this episode, nothing really happens, and there's a lot of callbacks. And we finally see the scene with the stormtrooper heads on a pike. And from the trailer, we finally got some context to it, and it's not as badass as I thought it was gonna be. So like, this episode was filler. It was an average episode. Granted, I love the fact that there was so many references to previous Star Wars entries, like the High Ground, Tatooine, Mos Eisley, the Dewbacks, the Tusken Raiders. All of that were great callbacks, but this is the Mandalorian. Like, we like these callbacks, but if you could be more subtle with them while advancing the plot, it would make them more significant as opposed to, you know what? We had the mid-season. We don't know what else to do, so let's just throw them on Tatooine and give them something to geek out about while we come up with the rest of the last 3 episodes. And I thought to myself, man, with only 3 episodes left, this episode really didn't do anything to advance the plot. So I take the next episode is going to do that, and then the final 2 episodes are going to be the climax of The Mandalorian. But overall, besides the references, I love Tatooine because of the significance in the Star Wars mythology. But besides that, this episode was pretty average, you know. Anyway, guys, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. If you like this video, definitely give it a thumbs up. I'd give this episode a 5 out of 10 because nothing really happened. And I wish we could have got more of Fennec, even though I don't think she's dead because of that final scene that we saw with her. But I want to see more of her because she's a badass. She was a badass. She looked cool and she was a badass. So I want to see more of that. But anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And until next time, binge on.